Imagine you're a Viking warrior. Your name carries weight in the halls of chieftains. Your grip is steady on your sword. Your shield arm is strong from 100 battles. Your family is secure, your longhouse is warm, and your honor is brighter than polished silver. In this world, to die with a sword in your hand is a glorious end, a one-way ticket to the feasting halls of Valhalla. Even to kill an enemy, to strike a man down in a duel or for righteous vengeance, is understood. It's a grim part of life in a harsh world. You stand by your actions, you admit to them before your peers, and you accept what comes next, whether it's fines or a feud. But there is one law worse than murder. One word that can erase you from existence. It's a punishment so complete, it isn't a sentence of death, but of total damnation in the eyes of gods and men. It's an act so vile it dissolves the very bonds that make you part of the community, that transforms you from a warrior into a creature to be hunted. This is the story of what it meant to become a Níðingr, the unforgivable shame of the Vikings. To understand this fate, a fate considered worse than any clean death, you have to get your head around the bedrock of Viking society. Honor. For us, honor is usually a personal, internal feeling of integrity. For the Norse, it was something far more public and tangible. Your reputation was called your orðstírr. It was the sum of all your deeds, the weight of your word, the respect you commanded. It was your social currency, worth more than land or gold. The sagas tell us that a good reputation was the one thing that never dies, the legacy that lives on long after you've turned to dust. This public measure of a person's worth created a huge difference between what we'd call homicide and what the Vikings truly feared as murder. In Old Norse, these were two completely different things. An open killing was a Viking. This was a slaying done in the light of day, often with witnesses. It could happen in a duel, a holmgang, to settle a dispute. It could be an act of vengeance for a slight against your family. Crucially, after a Viking, an honorable man wouldn't run and hide. He would go to the local assembly, the thing, and openly admit what he did. The consequences could be severe. He might have to pay a massive fine known as vergild to the victim's family, or he might become the target of a blood feud. But the act itself, the Viking, wasn't inherently shameful. It was a brutal fact of life. But then there was Morð. The Old Norse word Morð meant secret murder. This was killing by stealth in the dead of night, slaying someone in their sleep, or striking from behind without warning. It was killing with poison, an act so insidious it was often linked with forbidden magic. Morð wasn't about courage or settling a dispute. It was about treachery and deceit. It was a crime that was hidden, denied, and wrapped in lies. While a Vig might start a feud between two families, Morð attacked the very foundation of the community. Trust. There was an old Scandinavian saying that thievery is the way of wolves, not warriors, and secret murder was seen in the same light. It was a crime of pure cowardice, and in the Viking world there was almost no greater sin. It was this kind of act, an act of utter dishonor, that could earn you that dreaded title. Níðingr. Let's get back to our warrior. We'll call him Bjorn Iron-Hand. Bjorn is the picture of a successful Viking. His name was earned by the strength of his arm and the courage of his heart. He has a wife, Sigrid, known for her pride, and 2 strong sons already learning the sword. His chieftain values his advice, and his neighbors respect his judgment. His orðstírr, his reputation, is strong. But a shadow is growing in Bjorn's heart, a bitter rivalry with another warrior, Halfdan. Halfdan is younger, brasher, and his fame is rising too fast for Bjorn's liking. It all starts with boasts in the mead hall, moves on to arguments over land, and finally boils over when Halfdan questions Bjorn's courage during a raid. This is an insult that can't be ignored. The accusation of cowardice, of being arger or unmanly, was the most severe verbal attack a man could face. To let it stand was to admit it was true. Honor demands blood. Bjorn challenges Halfdan to a holmgang, a formal duel to the death. The time and place are set. The whole community knows this will be a contest of strength and honor, a vig to settle things for good. On the day of the duel, the village gathers, the air thick with tension. But as the moment arrives, a cold dread grips Bjorn. He sees the fire in Halfdan's eyes, the confidence in his posture, and for the first time Bjorn doubts himself. He fears not just losing, but being shamed and diminished in front of everyone. So he doesn't show up. He sends a flimsy excuse that he's sick, but nobody is fooled. The crowd scatters, muttering. Halfdan, cheated of his duel, publicly mocks Bjorn, calling him a coward with the heart of a mare. The shame is a physical weight, crushing Bjorn. Every glance from a neighbor feels like an accusation. His own sons look at him differently. Swallowed by rage and humiliation, Bjorn makes a fatal choice. He can't face Halfdan in an open fight, so he won't fight openly. That night, under a moonless sky, he goes to Halfdan's longhouse. He doesn't challenge him at the door. He doesn't call him out. Instead, he sneaks in like a thief. He finds Halfdan asleep by the hearth, at peace in his own home. And there, in the defenseless silence of sleep, Bjorn commits the unforgivable. He doesn't just kill his rival. He commits Mord, a secret, treacherous murder. He wipes the blade clean and slips back into the night, thinking his secret is safe. He silenced the man who shamed him, but in doing so, he has just sealed his own damnation. The next morning, the discovery of Halfdan's body shatters the morning calm. This was no honorable death. It was a violation. There was no sign of a struggle, no cry for help. It was a killing done in shadow and shame. Suspicion immediately falls on Bjorn. His failure to show up for the holmgang is a glaring motive. At the next thing, the great outdoor assembly where laws were upheld, Halfdan's kin formally accuse Bjorn. Standing before the law speaker and the free men of his community, Bjorn has a choice. He can confess to the murder, or he can lie. He lies, swearing a sacred oath on his arm ring that he is innocent. But his deception is thin. Witnesses come forward. One saw a figure lurking near Halfdan's longhouse. Another noted Bjorn's strange, guilty behavior that morning. The evidence, while circumstantial, paints a damning picture. The lie, the broken oath on top of the cowardly murder, solidifies his fate. The law speaker rises. There is no sentence of execution. The judgment passed is far worse. The law speaker declares Bjorn a Níðingr. The word hangs in the air, heavy and absolute. Níðingr. It means villain, coward, and oathbreaker, a person of profound and utter dishonor. It's a social and spiritual condemnation. By labeling him a Níðingr, the community declares that he is not just a criminal, but morally corrupt, someone who has acted with such cowardice and deceit that he has forfeited his place among honorable men. The legal consequence is swift and total. Bjorn is declared Outlawed, an outlaw. This isn't the lesser form of outlawry, a temporary banishment. This is full outlawry, a permanent stripping of all rights. From that moment on, Bjorn is legally dead. His property is forfeit. His wife, Sigrid, is now legally a widow. His children, orphans. No one is allowed to give him food, water, or shelter. To offer him any aid is now a crime. And most terrifyingly, he is now completely outside the law's protection. Any person can kill him on sight without penalty. In fact, killing an outlaw was often seen as a public duty. He's no longer a man. He's a wolf, a vargur to be hunted down. The warrior who was once a pillar of his community has, with a single word, been rendered less than human, a ghost walking among people who now see him only as an animal to be put down. But the legal verdict was just the beginning. The real horror of being a Níðingr was the social and spiritual death that came next. It was a damnation designed to erase a person from the world. Bjorn flees the thing, the faces of his former friends twisted with contempt. He can't go home. His longhouse isn't his anymore. His family is now tainted by his shame. Sigrid, his wife, bears the immediate fallout. Her status is shattered. As the wife of a Níðingr, she is contaminated by his dishonor. Marriage alliances for her children are now impossible. Her family is a cursed bloodline. She faces a stark choice: be shunned with her husband's memory or publicly disavow him, performing a ritual of separation to cleanse her family of his stain. The torment is immense. The man she loved is now the source of her ruin. For Bjorn, the world becomes a living hell. He's driven into the wilderness, the Draugr, becoming a forest man. He must survive by stealing, the very crime of a coward, further cementing his dishonor. Every traveler is a potential executioner. Every plume of smoke from a distant hearth is a reminder of the warmth and community he can never know again. He is utterly alone, haunted by the life he threw away. And this is why it was a fate worse than death. A warrior who died honorably in battle had the hope of Valhalla, of feasting with the gods. Even someone who died of old age went to hell, which was simply another realm, not a place of punishment. Their memory would be honored. Their kin would raise a rune stone, recounting their deeds, ensuring their reputation lived forever. The Níðingr was denied all of this. He was denied an honorable death and a worthy afterlife. But even worse, he was denied a memory on earth. No runestone would ever bear his name except as a warning. His own children would be taught to forget him. It was a deliberate erasure, a conscious effort by the community to excise the cancer of his dishonor from their collective memory. To be forgotten was to die a second, deeper death. The Vikings even believed the corruption of a Níðingr was so profound it could infect his corpse. They feared such dishonorable dead would rise again as a Draugr, a malevolent undead creature, to haunt the living. Because of this, when a Níðingr was finally killed, his body might be decapitated, with his head placed at his feet to stop him from finding his way back. He might be burned and his ashes scattered, or his body sunk in a bog, a physical manifestation of his buried shame. Bjorn's end is grim and anonymous. He's eventually found, not in a glorious fight, but cornered like a frightened animal. The man who kills him isn't a great warrior seeking glory, but a young farmer doing his civic duty. There is no ceremony, no mourning. His body is left for the wolves, his name becoming a whispered curse. He didn't just lose his life, he lost his existence. What the story of the Níðingr really tells us is the ultimate truth of the Viking world. Your life was temporary, but your reputation, your orðstírr, was eternal. It was the only part of you that could truly be immortal. To die a warrior's death was to secure that legacy. To be declared a Níðingr was to have that legacy and your very identity annihilated. It was social, legal, and spiritual oblivion. More than a concealed blade, more than a broken bone, the true terror for a Viking was the loss of honor. Because in a world without honor, you were already dead. The concept of the Níðingr was the ultimate enforcement of the Viking social contract. It was a stark reminder that courage, honesty, and loyalty weren't just virtues. They were the pillars holding their world together. To act with cowardice, break an oath, or kill with deceit were not just crimes against a person, but acts of treason against the entire community. And for that, the punishment had to be absolute. Not a quick death, but a slow, agonizing erasure from the memory of mankind. So, I want to ask you, what modern ideas of social shame do you think compare to being a Níðingr? We may not declare people outlaws, but the power of social death and being cancelled is still very real. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this look into the darker side of Viking justice compelling, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more stories from the Norse world. Ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Thanks for watching.